Well, good evening. Thanks for coming. My name is Tom Thomas, and I'm here as your moderator for this Wildomar City Council candidate forum. For those of you who don't know me, I've been here forever. I've been up near Ortega Highway, so I'm totally impartial because I don't live in any city. I'm on the school board here in Lake Elsinore, and I guess I can say welcome you to the school that really got flooded last week. We had one mess. Fortunately, we had a terrific staff that really helped get the place cleaned up. I told John Hurst, the principal, next time you want new carpet in your office, just buy a work order. You don't have to do it so flooded. So, but fortunately, we do have insurance. Why don't we start off with the Pledge of Allegiance, if you could all stand up. Repeat after me. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. If you ever wonder why you want a good city council, that I bring up a couple things to you, some laws that we can put in. Do you know in Temecula, there's a law that says ducks have the right to cross Rancho California Street at all times. In Long Beach, it's illegal to curse on a mini golf course, so don't go to Mulligan's. In San Francisco, you cannot wipe one's car with used underwear, and persons classified as ugly may not walk down any street. That tells you why you need to have a good city council. With that, let's talk about I'm going to talk about that. I think we can get going. And first off, we're going to give each candidate 2 minutes to talk about themselves. We have a timer down here. You sure you know how to keep time? So, why don't we start with Gary Andre?
Thank you. My name is Gary Andre. I'm running for a seat on the Wildomar City Council. The city of Wildomar needs to change the way in which it is governed. Instead of the current city council providing direction to the city staff, the city council simply approves every recommendation provided by staff without any challenge or question in the wisdom of their recommendations. Not only does the current council not know the answers, they don't even understand a lot of the questions. If I'm elected, I will ask intelligent, informed questions of the city staff, challenging their conclusions before I would vote to approve anything based on staff's recommendation. For an example, the recent rainstorm in Wildomar once again reminded us of the substandard drainage conditions inherited from Riverside County. As a result, whenever a development project comes before the city council should direct staff to require the developer through appropriate conditions attached to the project to approve any drainage conditions related to the proposed project and more. At the very least, a new project should not add to the current drainage problems which negatively impact existing property owners. My experience as a long-term community involvement in Wildomar uniquely qualifies me to address these issues by being an elected member of the Wildomar City Council. Thank you for your consideration. After this candidate forum, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me or talk to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Good
evening, everybody. Thank you for coming. It's nice to see so many people in the audience that no one recognized. And myself, I came to this valley about 10 years ago. Had a house up on Oak Circle Drive about 4 years ago. Moved down to over by the high school. I too experienced quite a bit of heavy rain. And my own personal rain gauge went way past what the news was reporting, closer to 3 inches. I heard a rain gauge here at the high school registered almost 4. So it was a very big event. I serve on quite a few other boards besides the City Council at the pleasure of the city. I also serve on AQMD by the pleasure of 27 cities in Riverside County. I was elected to that position by all the mayors of those cities a year and a half ago. I'm proud to do that for our community and represent us on a much bigger stage than just in our city here. I'll continue to hopefully do that. I just personally, my 10-year-old daughter is up in Riverside right now at a family dinner, and this is more important to be here tonight because this is a very important event. I'm looking forward to serving 4 more years on our city council. I think our city council is doing an excellent job of working with staff as opposed to being opposed to staff. And when you have staff and you're opposed to them, it makes it very difficult to move anything forward in our city. Over the last 4 years, I've watched our staff struggle within our means that we have, and I've watched them do a lot of good work with what they have to work with. And overall, we've done a very good job, I think, of moving forward where we can. We've got a long ways to move forward. We've got a lot of other things to do in this city. Flood control is definitely one of them. Our flood zone for this area is unfortunately very impoverished. We don't have a whole lot of money in our flood zone. But as we do get money there, and as there are projects that can move forward, they will. I'm proud to say we started a project and we voted on it about 5 months ago, to work over off of on the southern end of Windsong Valley and fix the drainage issues there and bring them into a channel that will no longer flood the roads in that area. We have a lot more to do in the rest of the city, but as that money become available, we'll work on it. And beyond that, I'd just be happy to serve another 4 years.
Thank you, Ben. Israel Lehan.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Israel Lehan, and I've been a resident of Wildomar for 5 years. I've been a part of Wildomar for 10 years. I was dating my wife at the time, 10 years prior to our engagement. So I decided to just take a step ahead and step forward and move out to Wildomar and be at her home base, where she grew up here in Wildomar, and when it was like Elsinore, but then it became Wildomar. So all that said and that, I'm going to stick to what I wrote on my statement. If you guys want to read along, I wrote it, but I kind of didn't memorize it. So I welcome an opportunity to contribute the work of a city council member of Wildomar. Currently, I have been researching getting involved with past and current situations on behalf of my fellow residents and city council members. I've learned that the city is struggling in many different ways. As a board member, my priorities include public safety, job training, and cleaning up for our city, both physically and politically. This will attract the right kinds of economic development and businesses, and in turn will increase our property values and our quality of life. If elected, I would bring to this position the knowledge I have gained in various leadership roles, my past experience serving as a project lead with various companies, such as Edison. I used to work with Southern California Edison in the IT department with 17,000+ end users. We were assigning them administration rights. So that was one of my roles in that department. I've also worked in school committees and school boards, sort of what Debbie Lee does in the council meetings, taking agendas and making sure everybody was on time.
Marcia Swanson.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Marcia Swanson. I'm asking to be re-elected because I don't see myself as a politician, but as a community member. I care about the community. I care about what happens. I've lived here 40 years. I've seen a lot of changes. I'm not happy with every change, but change does come. The internet changed a whole lot of things. So, you know, change is going to happen. I want to see our roads better. I want to see better public safety. And I also want to disagree completely with Gary Andre. We have a great staff. They are very knowledgeable. If some of you don't know, the Brown Act prevents us from talking to each other than 2 people. I can't talk to Ben and then go talk to Tim about the same thing. I can only talk to one of them. I can go to staff anytime and talk. At our last meeting, staff brought a recommendation. We tabled it indefinitely. At the meeting before that, there was a sign ordinance brought. We totally rejected it and asked that it be brought back. We weren't happy with it, so we don't always just say, yeah, staff says it's good, so we're going to do it. We have up to 1,300 pages each month to read and to go over and to understand. If we didn't have a knowledgeable staff, we couldn't do that. We're all not engineers or flood control
or any of that kind of stuff. We're everyday people and have jobs of our own and a place in the community of our own. And it is difficult sometimes to keep up. I have to go into staff quite often and ask a question. How do you do this? Or why do you think it should be that way? Or give them my opinion. I think you're wrong. And we've done that before. But ultimately, the whole council gets a vote. We each get one vote. And hopefully, we are representing you as you should be represented and listening to your opinion. That's what's important to me. Remember, your vote does count. It does make a difference as to what happens in our city.
Thank you, Marcia. Tim Walker?
Yeah, my name is Tim Walker. I've lived here since, we bought here in '79 and we moved out here in 1981. I've watched the city, and I was part of the deal when I was watching the city trying to become a city back in the day when Murrieta was trying to take a piece of us. Of course, they only wanted the piece that generated income, and Elsinore wanted the other side, and we were going to get split in half. So I was for being a city to keep our local control. One thing that I found out in the last 3.5 years of being on this council is you have to trust the people that work for you. And if they don't do the job, then you get rid of them. None of us that are on this board are engineers, and well, except for Bob Cashman, he is an actual engineer. But when it comes to professionals in the planning and developments and all those type of things, you have to rely on those people to do their job. You have to go through and talk to them, and there's many times, like she says, like Marcia said, that we have that Browns Act, so we can't talk to each other, just one person each day, and that's the only time we can ever talk to each other at all. And it's been kind of a stifling adventure because I have never had that kind of experience in my own businesses. I can talk to anybody I want to, and it's a whole different idea to where board members can't speak to each other on items before they come to us at a city council meeting. So it's been kind of an adjustment period, but I do go and I meet with our staff. I know what they're doing. They bring forward projects, and then we look at the projects and we see, hey, is this the right way to do it? I'm not going to question my engineers that are telling me the street is going this direction and the water will flow this direction and things like that. That's not my position. That would be like the President of the United States telling the military, which he thinks he can do, to go there and say, you need to do this, this, and this, but not listen to the military. You're on a board. A board is they govern the whole thing.
Thanks, Tim.
That's okay.
And now we have a number of questions. And each candidate will get 1 minute, correct? I gotta do this. We'll see how this works.
I-13.
I-13. This may be a little bit. I'm not sure about this. We'll figure this out. Okay. Let's start with Tim over at the end. Questions submitted by the golf class staff. Oh, that's not fair. Okay. In light of the information learned at the recent city council meeting, I would like to know how any candidate can threaten legal action against the city, especially the way it was done at the last minute on a project that is sorely needed here and expected to be taken seriously by the electorate.
Well, it seems to me that that's what we get all the time in the city council these days, is the last minutes, they call them a dump. And it's a document dump, so they can confuse our staff members, and then they're nervous, and then they're trying to tell us how we're supposed to vote on it. And it does tie their hands, and a lot of times we have to move to push something off to another day to give them a chance to go through it. It's a ploy. People do this all the time. It doesn't happen just in Wildomar. It happens in every city that I've talked to other council members. You just do what you can, and then you try to make the best decision you can. And if we can all get together in closed doors with the attorneys, then we can decide what we should do forward, if we're going to move things forward and not let the document dump happen. In this instance, we did move it forward anyway. We didn't really care about the document dump. We felt that we were in the right, and we are in charge. That's it. That's 1 minute, right?
About 1 minute.
Well, whatever.
You were okay.
She's done. I'm done.
Go ahead.
Same question.
Say it again. You got to reread it, or you got it?
I think I have it. I totally agree with Tim. As I said earlier, we have anywhere from 800 to 1,300 pages to read and understand, and we get them on Friday before the Wednesday meeting. So it is difficult sometimes to digest all of that. Then when we come in to meet, we're shoved a whole bunch of other papers that may be letters that are short and easy to read from a resident. That's fine. We like to hear those. We'd like to hear your input, even if it is right before the meeting. It would be nice if you called ahead and we got to talk about it, but sometimes you don't know till that Friday either. But to get threats of lawsuits right before you sit down to discuss something makes it impossible to discuss. We can't even bring it up. We have to table it. We have to do something else with it at that time or move it forward, as Tim said. But we need legal advice. We aren't lawyers either. So every meeting just about, I think in the recent past that I can remember, we have had a meeting with our attorney an hour before, closed session, where the attorney can give us legal advice.
Thank you, Marcia. Israel?
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. In light of the information learned at the recent city council meeting, I would like to know how any candidate can threaten legal action against the city, especially the way it was done at the last minute on a project that is sorely needed here and expected to be taken seriously by the electorate.
Well, as my whereabouts, I didn't know there was a lawsuit on this project, but I do understand where Tim and Marsha are coming from, because I know they've been hitting the books and reading over documentations, and there are tons of paperwork they have to go through. So, in aspect of that, I mean, I'm not here to oppose it or anything, but I'm not here to be against, argue with anybody. I'm here to work together, join them as a team, but also make this somewhere where we could go ahead and make a better place for development, a better place to live.
Thank you. Ben?
So the lawsuit we're talking about is Bundy King, and the type of lawsuit is a secret lawsuit. Now, there's no lawsuit yet, there's just a letter sent in by a group called the Intelligent Planning Group. And it just so happens that the last 6 documents from that group, when signed in court, happen to have one contestant up here's name on it. And so you can make an assumption where that came from. But at the end of the day, what is this trying to stop? We're talking about an improvement that would be a huge safety improvement to our city. Going up and down Bundy Canyon right now, a beautiful, pristine 2-lane country road. It does not have a country load of traffic on it. It has getting to a very major artillery load of traffic. I can remember quite familiarly that coming back from the desert many times around 5, 6 o'clock at night when the economy was booming in 2007, where traffic would be backed up almost to the first farm road, coming down Bundy Canyon, waiting for that stop sign. We need to move forward with this development. We need to move forward with the ability to have that road there in 4 lanes. So we need to hopefully move that project forward.
Time.
Thank you, Ben. And Gary?
Yes, regarding Oak Creek. I do have a lawsuit against Oak Creek for one reason. This map was presented by Larry Markham at the meeting. Larry Markham left one thing out of this, and I'll pass this around so you can see it. You go right here and you take a look, it's a raw sewage spray area. That sprays raw sewage. You've heard of the contamination running all the way down, clearing in Lake Elsinore? That's coming from that raw sewage spray area. So, you got homes built within 160 feet of it. I have a friend here, Tommy. He lives in Autumnwood. Tommy lost his wife to contaminated soil. A test I have right here. The dirt was brought in 2006, was never tested. The only thing that was asked on this project.
Time's up. Sorry. Okay, go to the next question here. How do you seriously plan on making Lost Road into a new wine country?
Which road are you?
Lost Road, is that correct? Yeah. How do you seriously plan on making Lost Road into a new wine country?
First of all, it was, a lot of people say Lost Road as a mountainous road like this. But I was trail commissioner for Riverside County since 2004. And I have driven every trail, walked trails, I have GPSed every trails in half of Riverside County. Lost Road, if you go back in the hills, there's a lot of areas there where grapes can be grown. If you go online, you'll find out there's grapes that grow in California here that grow on hillsides. My main area where grapes should be grown, I think a nice place would be is along Bundy Canyon, going out in the Cottonwood Canyon. That would bring a commercial component into our community and a lot of people, hotels, double bed. So I think it's a good idea. I've talked to the wineries in Temecula. They thought it'd be a good idea. And it's just something to throw out there. If I get on council, I'm only 1 of 5 votes.
Fine.
If one says no, it's no.
Okay. Ben?
Well, as I look at our general plan, I don't see any winery properties up on that road. And looking forward in the future on that road, a lot of it is dedicated at some point to, and it is being bought up quite regularly by a conservancy organization, RCA. I don't believe that our area is the right place for grapes. I believe firmly that a big reason why the grapes taste so good down in Temecula is the air channel that comes out from the southern part of the valley there and flows into the grape country that they have down there. And that's why they have the wine country they have. It's Marianne Edwards, the councilman from there, will tell you that she drives through our area. She knows it's about 10 degrees warmer than when she's going to get down to Temecula. And there's grapes are a picky product. They're picky to their environment, and I don't think we have the right place for it in our city. I wish we did. It'd be a lovely thing, but some dreams are pipe dreams.
Israel?
Yes, well, I do agree with Andre on this. I believe that we could go ahead and maybe have a little, it doesn't necessarily have to be right on Bundy Canyon, but we have a lot of land here, a lot of land where we could grow produce, and a lot of this produce doesn't have to be for wineries. It could also be selling for corporate grocery stores. But I do believe that there's a lot of advancement and development, so we can grow produce on here, because we just had a flood and it rains a lot, so we need rain to grow produce, so we need water. And that's kind of an example to show that produce could be a big development and advancement towards either winery or produce sales.
Time.
Thank you. Marcia?
I've never given any serious thought to wineries out on Lost Road. I've tried desperately to grow some grapes myself, some Chardonnay grapes. They don't do well. And they are very small. They've been there for years. They're not good to eat. Thompson grapes, that's a little bit different. Those aren't bad. That wouldn't be a bad agricultural area, but I can't see anybody wanting to put a winery back in there. We can't even seem to get a brew house down in an industrial area or a commercial area without a lawsuit. So I don't know who would give any serious thought to wineries.
And Tim?
I think if people want to try to grow something up on their hill and they own the property, I don't have a problem with it at all. Whether it's viable or not, that's a whole different story. We do live in the desert and we don't have the water. But I mean, I'm not going to poo-poo anybody's dream if they want to build a thing up there. I think the only thing that would grow up there that might work is avocados, because it's a southerly facing face of that hill over there, and it probably would work. But I'd never heard anything about a winery going or those type of things up in that area. So other than that, hey, go for it. If you want to do that, that's fine.
Okay, thank you. Let's start with Marcia. What is your opinion on the continued use of lawsuits by unelected people to thwart the will of the people?
guess that's one of the reasons why I decided to run this time again. I just can't understand why people would want to do what they're doing. If it was really the will of the people and there was tons of people coming in, it's the same 3, 4, 5 people over and over and over. As I mentioned, I don't care if it's a brewery, somebody who wants to open up a small brewery in the restaurant. We're told they use too much water, we're going to sue. We're told it's not environmentally safe for this, it's not environmentally safe for that. They have to go through all of these checks. A lawsuit doesn't need to be filed over a Subway sandwich shop next to Jack in the Box. That land is how he felt. And to bring anybody else into this city, I have to be honest with them. When I meet with somebody who might want to come into the city, I have to let them know how hard it might be.
Time.
Thank you. Israel?
Can you repeat the question? I was taking a lot of information from Washington.
What is your opinion on the continued use of lawsuits by unelected people to thwart the will of the people?
Well, my opinion is, as far as these lawsuits go, I mean, I don't think it should be opposed or anything, because we do need revenue in our city. We do need financially structured development. So all these lawsuits are just getting in the way. It's just a waste of time, basically. But I am opposed to the lawsuits because it's just downsizing our city. And you know, a lot of us, I've talked to a lot of residents, and they're just tired of it. And it's time to, you know, take a stand and put our foot down and take charge and make our city grow and successful. Not just on our behalf, but make it so other.
Thank you. Ben?
One of the most difficult things the last 4 years sitting in City Council is the continued abuse of the lawsuit system. And what is a lawsuit system? CEQA. And one thing that if most people would think, if I get involved in a lawsuit and I sue somebody and I lose, I'm going to have to pay the bill. CEQA does not have that. CEQA ends up with whoever the person is building, and these are your neighbors. These are not big businesses. These are people that live right down the street over near Marcia's house that wanted to subdivide, 5 small lots, and they got a threat of a lawsuit. So are they moving forward with their dream of maybe selling 3 lots, giving one to their grandkid and moving on? Nope, because of a lawsuit. Is there a Subway store open today in Bundy Canyon? No, because of a lawsuit. Now, are they going to move forward? Subway is. He's got a little bit more of a checkbook, and he can. But the rest of the people that keep getting hit by these can't a lot of times. And they're bent over a barrel, and all they can do is settle. And so when the people say, oh, we won this big battle, people are settling just because they want to move forward. And without that ability to settle, they get wrapped into a long, long time with a lawsuit.
Okay. Gary?
Well, about Subway, I have nothing to do with that whatsoever. But one thing I did do for the city is I mapped all the floodway system, all the storm drains. And one thing that does happen when it floods is it floods right across that section of land there and across Bundy over into the field. And this last rainstorm we had clearly showed that. The issue was to raise the property up to the elevation, if I remember, of Jacker Box and tie the two together. That was pretty much it. Lawsuits, I've never sued anyone in my life, period, until I started seeing the issues regarding the safety of people. Living next to a sewage treatment plant with raw sewage sprayed every day, you wouldn't want that.
Okay. And Tim?
Go back to the lawsuits again. Yeah, it's a frustrating thing to sit up at the city council level, and there's 5 of us, and we're making these decisions and trying to do the best we can, and to have other people in the community that are now in charge, or at least they think they're in charge. So we have to make the hard decisions to push forward and things like that. It doesn't, when you see one of the developers, yeah, they cover the city, but they don't cover us for all the time that we spent, or our staff that works endless hours to get these things ready to go to a court or whatever. And most of the times they are settled, and that's what they count on, is getting paid at the end of the day. The subway issue over there, I remember a couple of years ago when it first happened, and it was pouring rain outside. And I went over there, and I stood out there, and I was waiting for the water to show up. And I trusted the guys that did the flood control in the first place know where to make the water go, because that's... Okay.
We're dealing with our technical issue here. Obviously, it was made for raffles and not for questions. Okay. Let's start with... No. Let's start with Israel. What legal actions have you been involved in? What have you done in the past year to positively impact the community?
Well, I'll be honest with every single one of you here. I haven't really done much because I'm the type of person that's just wanting to let the people in office and on board to go ahead and do their job and do what they need to do for the city, for the community, for the people. So I'm just like waiting to see how results come about, and if there's nothing really helping out to the community, then that's where I decide, okay, I'm going to participate, I'm going to move forward, I'm going to step up, and I'm going to go ahead and not take charge, but take a little bit of control so we could go ahead and be united as a community, because it's not really what the community does for you, but it's what you could do for your community.
Ben?
Well, a big part of my life is Rotary, and I could go on and on. One of the big things I'm really proud of this year was we had a barbecue again back at our parks that we worked tirelessly to reopen. And that barbecue was the first time that we've had it there in 4 years, and we weren't sure if the grass was going to be green here, so we couldn't have our full event. I'm looking forward to this next year where we get to have our full event there with everybody there. And that park's looking great, one day at a time. I've also been a part of a couple of the boards around here. One of the boards I've been part of purchasing hundreds of acres, putting them into perpetuity for our area to hopefully thwart some lawsuits. The idea that we put these land in perpetuity, we can move forward with other projects. Also been to Sacramento 4 or 5 times this year to try and get our money back from the state. I'm sure hope that comes through. $1.8 million of yearly revenue that the state took from us that I hope to get back. So those are some of the few things I've been doing this last year.
Sure.
Yes, this year I helped plant the plants over at the parks when we had the Great Day of Service. Dug holes for older people who couldn't dig into the hard soil. It was a lot of fun. It was really fun meeting people. Also, Mark Teague is he's a planning director, assistant planning director for the city, working on the general plan. He asked me if I could draw up a couple of the trail maps for him, which I did do for him. When that fit right onto the city's webpage, so they could see exactly what properties the trails are on. So I did that for him too. It was a lot of fun. And just talking to a lot of people. Helping people. I'm a chaplain. So I've lost 13 people this year. And it's been very difficult. That's where I spend a majority of my time.
Okay, thank you, Rick. Tim?
Been on a few different boards. I'm on the water board here locally with the EVMWD, and Ben and I are on that committee, and we meet with them. And one of the concerns that I saw that they brought forward to us was actually the spray fields up at the farm. And it comes to find out that the spray fields actually meet all the EPA standards to spray on the side of the hill. So that was pretty much a done deal. Some of the other things that I've done, the barbecue, I was just part of it. I just went to it because these guys, I'm not a Rotarian, so I'm not part of that in crowd.
We keep trying.
But been to multiple city functions, gone to the state Clutter case up there. Last year when I was the mayor, I did a lot of calling, trying to get the governor to do something, and hopefully he will this week. You're just, when you're on the board, you're just everywhere. You're always all over the place in different meetings constantly, and putting the city out first.
And Marcia.
Well, I too have worked on many city projects, but my favorite too is Rotary. We've done a lot of projects. We worked the snack bar at the movie nights to raise money for a boy that lives in Wildomar that needed a service dog, and I think we did $595, and Bridget said, I'll throw in the other 5, make it 600. So we did. I've been a member of the Friends of the Library since it started. I was on the MAC back when that library was built. I got to help pick the interior design and the layout of the library. I'm very proud to have a library in our community. And this year we did get the name changed to the Wildomar Library. So if you're looking for a library, there's signage up now. Worked on all different projects. Oh, here's Bridget's going to tell me. The Freedom Swing.
Yes.
It's going to be installed in the park, or maybe it is already, but ribbon cutting will be the 27th.
Thank you, Marcia. For this next question, let's start with Gary. In a small town, it is easy for some to think a position on the council or a commission or even a committee gives them special rights or influence. In this context, how do you see the role of a council member, or how would you or do you work to avoid this from occurring? Repeat it? Okay. In a small town, it's easy for some to think a position on the council or a commission or even a committee gives them special rights or influence. How do you see the role of a council member, or how would you or do you work to avoid this from occurring?
First of all, as a council member, everything we base the decision on should be what's called finding of fact. Finding a fact can be jeopardized at times and turned into fabricated fact. Fabricated fact happens in a lot of cities. It's been around for a long time. And you have to base what you do and let people know on the council what's going on, how it's going on, and instruct people, if you know findings of fact, how to find the findings of fact. We did a client called Gary Norquist. We had to go out to a project site to look at a pipeline, the direction of the flow, and it was said it flowed one direction, and the findings showed it flowed in a different direction. So you have to base things on findings, and when you base it on fact.
Tim?
Same question? Okay. I'm confused. I just got confused because of the way, all the stuff that he was just saying.
And you want me to reread it?
Yeah, go ahead and repeat it for me.
In a
since
small
I'm
town, it's
confused.
easy for some to think a position on the council.
I got it. That's enough. Thank you. Yeah, one thing that we have to remember when we're on the council, and it's very important, that I talk to people all the time. I meet with a lot of people constantly at the Starbucks or wherever, my other office. And, you know, they give you information. They give you input on what's going on in the city. And I tell people, if you're not contacting your council person, we have no idea what you're doing. We have no idea if there's a problem. Our job is to oversee the whole thing, but if we don't know anything's going on, that's what your position is. You're supposed to know. And I tell people, if you have an issue with the city, just give us a call so then we can find out what's going on from that side, because staff has a different version of what other people will say, and you need to be able to weigh both of those things out. And I haven't had those major issues with our staff because they're really good people. If we find things that are wrong in our codes or whatever, we can change those. That's what our prerogative is. That's what all 5 of us decide to do. So our position is not to run out there and police people, because that's not our job. Our job is to sit back and be a buffer between them.
Marcia?
Well, I totally agree. We aren't anyone special, not special at all. We are people who have decided to volunteer, even though you elected us. Our time is volunteer time. We're not paid. This isn't a prestige job. We're out there in the trenches, running to the store, buying things for the snack bar, holding a fundraiser, the pancake breakfast with Santa Claus, serving eggs, taking care of the people, taking care of what you want, what you need in your community. And there's nothing special about that. I'm mayor this year. I don't go around telling everybody I'm mayor. That's just not what it's about. It's about what you want and your needs and what our community needs. And yes, sometimes facts are important, but sometimes the facts are just the facts. And they don't make sense for the community.
Thank you. Israel?
Yes, well, I do agree with Marcia and Tim 100% on this, because I'm sure that they do have a lot on their plate with their personal lives and being on the board. And but that's where you come on and ask the people of the community questions or what they want to see, what they want to bring to the community. Just be loyal, let them be heard. Of course, they could be heard, but you be the voice for them, the voice of reason. So everything has to fall into place to be, have it organized. So it's not something that, like Marcia said, go ahead and exalt yourself just by announcing that you're mayor. No, that come. If you humble yourself, that'll come naturally. So it's something that a lot of people would like to.
Time.
And Ben?
Usually, right, it does come naturally if you're not the one promoting it. Unfortunately, I have a 10-year-old daughter. I can't get her to stop telling everybody that. When I go anywhere, she likes to tell me. But it is important to remember what hat you have on. And unless you're sitting up on the dais making decisions for your community, you're just another citizen. I've witnessed the person to my right out on a job site trying to stop a Safe Sidewalks to School project when that's not his job. We're not the police. We're not the people that are in charge of everything. We're the people that are supposed to be up there making policy decisions so our staff can move forward and our community can move forward. And at the end of the day, if we're trying to police everybody, that's not our job. And I hope we can all start remembering that moving forward.
Okay, thank you. Next question, let's start with Marshall. What is your vision for Wildomar? Where would you like to see us in 10 years?
Well, that's awful tough to say because I don't know if I'll be here in 10 years. I'd still be in Wildomar though. I have a little cemetery right now. I see smart growth, planned growth. Growth is needed. We need housing. We need commercial. We got a survey that came out. The Board of Realtors sends us every month, or every quarter, a survey on what the median cost of houses are and what we need in the city. And the only thing that Wildomar had too much of was pharmacies. And I only know of one. Maybe if you want to count the ones that are in the grocery stores, then we've got 3. I think that's it. But everything else we needed. We don't want to go spend our tax dollars in Marietta or Lake Elsinore. Those cities have been good to us, but we caused part of their traffic problem. We need to be able to buy these goods in our own city.
Thank you. Israel?
Well, let's see. Wildomar, 10 years. Well, I would like to see us flying in space, with the hover-around cars. No. Well, I would like to see Wildomar grow financially, structurally, especially bringing the community together. I wrote this down and I said Marietta has its mulligans, Lake Elsinore has its stadium, Temecula has its Pachanga, Menifee has its shopping center off of Newport, which is still growing. They're building more businesses. So where are we? Where do we stand? We need more revenue, more business to develop. So whether if it's either a Walmart or a box chain, like a diner like not Denny's, but Norm's Restaurant.
Time.
Yeah.
We do have a Denny's, and I think that's the one we need to call it done. 10 years from now, I hope we move forward quite a bit, but I think it's going to be a slow process for us. One of the most important things 10 years from now I think we need, and I'm hoping it happens sooner than later, is more public safety. We need more officers on the street. We've got a good officer here today. He's here because we're paying him overtime. He only has a limited group out on the street beyond that. He needs more buddies on the street. We need more people to monitor what's going on in our community. And it's not for the good people, it's for the bad people that show up in our parks, the people that show up and do stuff to our citizens. And there's luckily, we're in a pretty good area for most of them. But we need more public safety. How do we get there? Growth, an opportunity of growth in our city through good commercial growth. Without that, we will very much likely struggle for a long time to have more officers on the street.
Gary.
First of all, in 10 years, we definitely need to have commercial. We don't have commercial, we're going to end up like Canyon Lake. There's 700,000 in that hole every year. And they're trying to find ways to take down mountains. It's not going to work. Number two is, I think, when we first became a city, we had a vision from the community. I believe we need to follow the vision of what the people want. We are a community first, a city second. And if you change that, it's backwards. Because the people mean more than the city does. We need to take care of our people first. And their desires and their needs come first. And I believe we need to preserve the rural community. What people move down here for the quietness. I've been knocking on doors. That's what everyone wants, preserve the quietness.
Yeah, 4 years ago when I got on here, when I was sitting right here at this same spot, I was like a deer in the headlights. I had no clue of anything about a city or city work or city business or anything. Because I've been running businesses my whole entire life that I've been out here, owned my own companies. And now it's a whole lot of difference because I thought I was going to really roll in here and we were going to get some stuff done. But I tell you what, it doesn't work that way. It takes years to get anything done because you have so many on the opposite side trying to stop everything. And I'm talking everything. Even our Shell station took a long time to get started because of the naysayers that kept coming back on that one all the time. And I propose a new type of thing for our city for the next 10 years. Let's let the professional people that are in charge and that know the science of floods and electricity and streets, let's let them do their job, and then we wouldn't have all this time spent